The Loomis brothers, John Collins, and Carl Fisher saw much potential in the island that would soon be called Miami Beach. The island was pretty much a natural habitat, a jungle with lots of matted mangrove and swamp and wildlife. Part of the foundation that made Miami Beach what it is today was lots of dredging and labor. People of color contributed handsomely, paving the way, clearing out the island of the mangrove and swamp, and creating farmland and making it more inhabitable. Like with any job, one must get paid. How were the people of color paid, especially when developers at times would run out of money, which is pretty common with large endeavors? To answer that question, at times laborers were paid with plots of land. Yes, people of color did own land on Miami Beach at that time. However, they were not allowed to live on Miami Beach, nor were they allowed to build on the land that they owned on Miami Beach. Before 1913, the only way that one could get to that island, which is now known as Miami Beach, was by ferry. Mr. John Collins was adamant about growing his agricultural business. The Collins family envisioned a lucrative real estate opportunity on Miami Beach. The Collins family and John Collins, of course, worked together financially with the Loomis brothers to build the first bridge from Miami to the island. During the course of construction of that bridge, money ran low. This is where Mr. Carl Fisher comes in. Upon examination of the situation when Mr. Fisher arrived to Miami, he saw lots of opportunity. One of Mr. Fisher's many contributions was providing the money that was needed for Mr. Collins to finish the bridge. By 1913, the Collins Bridge was completed. Now anyone could get from the mainland to the island. With the many new and different modes of transportation now available in South Florida and to South Florida, not only did Miami, but the island itself get lots of exposure, and investors begin to see the value in the beach's property. As mentioned before, people of color were given land on Miami Beach as a form of payment. Flash forward, now that the investors see value in this land, they convinced the people of color to sell their land, and they'd also trade land with the people of color for parcels of land in the mainland of Miami, in places like Overtown and whatnot. D.A. Dorsey was Miami's first black millionaire. He used to own the island that is now called Fisher Island. He had to sell that island to Carl Fisher because the taxes got too high. The beautiful thing about that island when Mr. Dorsey owned it is that it was a place where blacks could comfortably enjoy the beach. When Mr. D.A. Dorsey sold that property, there was no place really where people of color could comfortably enjoy the beach for some years. So people of color were not only restricted from living on Miami Beach, but they were also restricted from being there after a certain time. This group photo is a photo of St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal's usher board at St. Paul AME Church when it was in Overtown. In the picture, I have circled my Aunt Mary. She was employed on Miami Beach, and she had to have an ID with her fingerprint on it. She had to be registered with the Miami Beach Police Department, and she couldn't be on Miami Beach after a certain time unless she lived on premises. Now, this particular ID is a result of Miami Beach Ordinance 457, created in 1936. A person of color needed a legitimate reason for being on Miami Beach according to the times. And according to those times, the only legitimate reason for a person to be on Miami Beach was for work, be it at a hotel, be it at someone's home, be it groundkeeping, be it labor, or any service job. So my question is this, and I'm sure this was the question of those around at that time as well who were Black. If there is constitutionalized segregation, which supports the idea of separate but equal, why don't Black people have a beach in Miami? In 1945, the Negro Citizens Service League in Miami addressed that question. It saw that the same situation was occurring around the country, and it observed what other places around the country, other African American communities around the country were doing about it. In particular, members, Mr. Lawson Thomas, who was then an attorney and would eventually become Miami's first Black judge, and Dr. Iris Davis, who was a Black dentist, came up with a plan. They called on members of the African American community, in particular Black churches, to partake in a peaceful protest on Haulover Beach. The protest was organized to be a wade-in which people of color would just put their feet in the water, essentially. Mr. Lawson Thomas, the attorney, and the organizers of this protest were expecting to get arrested. As you know, being arrested in this situation is important because then they can take this to court and argue that Blacks are not getting their separate but equal rights, and that Blacks didn't have a beach to enjoy in Miami as opposed to whites who did. The day was May the 9th, 1945, and actually a few people did arrive to partake in the protest. I was reading an article published by the Miami Herald on May the 9th, 2015, that commemorated the protest or the wade-in at Haulover Beach on May the 9th, 1945. And I was honored to discover that May Del Brannon, who passed away long ago, but a member of St. Paul AME Church, was one of the individuals, protesters, who put their feet in the water. Mr. Lawson Thomas was ready. The protesters were ready. They were ready for the police to come and arrest them. When an officer finally did show up, he didn't arrest them. Why? Because he wanted to protect the global reputation of Miami being a nice, fun, and sunny place to visit. He didn't want Miami to get bad publicity. After the sheriff acknowledged that he was not and could not arrest the protesters and that they should not have been on that beach in the first place, under then the direction of attorney Lawson Thomas, the protesters stayed in the water at the all-white beach. Local businessmen and politicians got word of the protest, and they didn't want that kind of publicity ever coming to South Florida. So to fix the black problem of no black beaches, they helped to provide a space for black people. Finally, on August the 1st, 1945, Virginia Key Beach was born, and people of color in Miami finally had a beach to enjoy. Hello everyone. Right now I am on bus 102, the Metro bus, which is a public transportation bus number 102, and I am on the way to the famous Virginia Key Beach. Famous and historic Virginia Key Beach. Back in the day, you would have to catch a ferry to this beach, and I'm assuming that this bridge that we're on right now is to help get to the beach. So I can imagine this is a really kind of long trip. Imagine going from there all the way to here just to have fun on the beach. Wow. I must say, this is like one of the most comfortable metro buses I've ever been on in my life. Look at it, just look at it. Look how comfortable it looks. The air is good, it's cozy, comfortable, cozy. Barely anyone's on here. I am on my way to Virginia Key Beach. Right now I am in front of the Miami Seaquarium. Cool. I'm kind of lost, but I guess sometimes it's good to get lost because it helps you to exercise your brain muscles in my way. So yeah, I'll talk to you when I get to Virginia Key Beach. All right, see you soon. It's so soothing to be here on Virginia Key Beach. This is amazing, man. I'm now on Virginia Key Beach, and it's amazing to be able to be in the area or be in the beach that my ancestors who settled here early in Miami were on, and their friends and people I know, their ancestors and